For those who were prepared, this was something good because they were able to buy things at a cheaper price at a big support level on a micro chart for sure. If you look at XRP, with all these volatility in the crypto market, you're still holding on to the level of support. And that in itself is an interesting fact because historically, when Bitcoin dumps, you see XRP dropping way, way harder. Right now, what you're watching is someone is stepping up to buy these assets, especially XRP here, giving you a piercing candle back to the upside, showing, yep, I have a lot of buying power. So the buyers are trying to dominate this. Now, key element here is to understand the daily, right? There was a lot of buying volume which pushed the price up. After that, you're slowly consolidating. So most likely what you're watching here is a move like this. You are trending to the upside. So unless you break through this trend, you don't have to worry about it. So right now, XRP is showing you a bullish trend, whereas when you jump onto Bitcoin, say even if you use a 4-hour chart, what you would notice on a similar aspect, which is the trend, the micro trend, is the fact that you were trending to the upside for sure, but now you broke through that. So you broke this level, you broke this level. But at the end, you found some support near this range and you bounced off. So we need to now understand the fact that that was a daily level. That was a great level on a daily chart which got respected. The previous resistance came in as a support. What next? Especially what next for the altcoin market, because this is exactly what's happening in front of us. Welcome to the Scientific Investor family, where the normal retail guys get to learn how to become the next top 10% of this world. We talked through all of this. Before the price dropped, we had this thought process. Okay, it's going to bounce back up and then look for a drop. When that price was struggling before the drop came in, I notified the Scientific Investor family that it is struggling, right? And we had a thought process of what it's about to do. Now, we were able to scoop things up because we were prepared. Prepared in the sense, 2 days back, I was saying this to clear. In dry powder, right? We've done extremely well. And at that point, I decided to take dry powder, skim the profits, and stay there to load up on these opportunity which pops up in front of you. And just like that, thousands of individuals are using that. We had this thought process, right? We talked about it in the last video. If this is what's happening, even if you're a perma bull in this asset, you are looking at that saying, okay, I don't care. But that's when this kind of comes in. Okay, yes, it's a 3-day chart. It's not a weekly, it's not a monthly, but it is still a 3-day chart, not a hourly, showing you the fact that it does have negative divergence. Again, this goes back 24 hours before the real drop. So that's when you were making that top. And that's the area where it's really hard to say this is the top. Most likely we're going to drop because the market can prove you wrong at any time. This was another chart which we dropped earlier saying we're going to see this. We'll go back up. This is the exact same pattern. This is the time horizon. And that was like, earlier this month. Right now, we seem to be in that range. We were looking for like, what? I was thinking like, 10, 14 days from now, that should start. And to put things in perspective, it was like 8 days, 9 days, we started that kind of a move. So the market is literally giving you the advantage to move on, to take opportunities, right? If you do look at some of these, they are still trying to grind higher. They didn't get hit hard the most. Some of them are starting to bring back the attention on. Say, you remember I actually gave you guys some of these assets here, say Loopring. We went through that. Now, what's the structure? That's what you should focus on, not the asset itself. If you can identify these patterns evolving in the market right now. There is a lot of them. I posted, I don't know how many in the group here, where hundreds of people are following it and taking benefit. Right now, it's like 1,100 plus members using those calls. Now, what's it? Before you break higher, you have an opportunity. That's the breakout. And when they do these kind of move, it kind of gives you a 30% move directly. So if you're levered, you get more. If you're not, that's a 30% move. And if you can find 18 of these just with 30%, you do a 100x move in your trading bag. 100x move is not a small thing, and you cannot achieve that without discipline. So you literally have to focus on what the price action is doing. Now, if your long-term bag is this guy, XRP, and you're now confused about where you are in the cycle, the price action is clearly showing you this. Now, we are human beings. We can have the doubt for sure, 100%. But that doesn't mean what we see here is invalid. It is still valid. You had the breakout. You consolidated inside that. Now you're breaking that to the upside as well. So your measured moves are still valid. You're looking for a higher number. You're looking for a continuation movement in this asset. So the long-term resistance, you can literally see that the standard deviations don't even match up. So the breakout here was great. It was perfect. You consolidated there, waited for the entire market to join the party. Now it's starting to move. Now, that's on a 3-day chart. You can step back on a weekly. This is the direction of what your RSI, the strength, is showing you. Now, if you think how high can this go, we're still here. I mean, that's still at 55. All of the big moves happened above that range, 60 or above. Now, you go on to any asset which you would like to look at, and you go on the monthly. They are popping, and the RSI is here. We call all of them out at this breakout here. Why? Because that was the key range to look at, and at that time you were breaking through this accumulation of the strength index. And that's one of the reasons why you need to keep your eyes focused on this. When that strength index gives you a negative divergence, that's not somewhere you need to be or you want to be. It can be the top or close to the top. So you need to focus on what the market is trying to convey. For XRP, for XLM, that category of assets are still here. The weekly is showing you they have an intention to ride to the upside here. Fine. So at that point, you want to know whether the monthly still has room. If they do, then you're like, okay, I'm looking for big runs here. And all of them agrees. Great. Whether you are on a smart contracts platform, whether you are on a payments platform, you're looking at utility, right? And all of them shows you they have just started. Now, when you're on a monthly, it reduces all the noise in the market and gives you all the clarity in the world, right? This is what you're looking at, the double bottom, the breakout, the double bottom, the breakout, the retest, the bounce. How much more should the market tell you? Now, if you are like, okay, I'm not a pattern guy, fine. Be a trend guy. At least that works, right? And you're like, okay, if I'm bouncing, I'm going to look for $7 to $8. Maybe you are a little bit conservative. You look at $6. Whatever your target is, it depends on your strategy. If you're a pattern guy, you do that. If you're a wave guy, you do that. If you're a Wyckoff guy, you follow that. You need to know what you are doing. Otherwise, the market can literally whoop you. Because if you bought here at the top, that wouldn't be good. Now, everyone has emotions. Remember, I shorted the market here, and I informed you guys where I did that. And I closed it in profit, not a big profit, but still, I was like, no, this is going to bounce, and maybe it's going to push a little bit higher. It did push higher and then drop. So the thought process is the market now is super manipulative because a ton of institutions are involved. When you do look at the Bitcoin dominance, it conveys a story. This is the pattern which we are watching. This is the micro leg. Instead of this breaking to the upside, it came down. So what does that mean? On a 4-hour chart, if you can remove the zoom in, what I would look at now is a fake move. You kind of come back up and slow it down and then go back down. This would be best thing to watch for altcoins. Remember, on Bitcoin, you have these kind of news. People are kind of super bullish on this. They're now thinking about holding this for 100 years. All those narratives are there. I don't disagree. But my thought process is, now this is, I think it is a genuine question to ask in this market. Like, okay, someone sold here when the price was going to the all-time highs. Someone sold here when the price was at close to that level of all-time highs. Someone again is selling here. Who the hell is selling at these levels, right? If you don't really have supply and your supply is 900 Bitcoin a day and these ETFs are absorbing thousands, okay, how can the price drop? So someone is dropping it, which means there are individuals, institutions, family house, whatever. They bought here at 25,000 or they bought here at 5,000, 15,000, way lower. Now they are all in good shape in this asset and they think they need the dry powder, or at least they are trying to rebalance their portfolio, position themselves in a better way. To do what? Ask yourself, Bitcoin's biggest pop, the biggest ever pop in Bitcoin came in way. This one. What's special about that? Where can we see the same coming soon? That's something where I ask you to think about and position yourself. Monthly RSI entered the overbought territory in Bitcoin and the price popped. This is where you literally go on to the altcoin market and you're watching that the monthly is entering there. So March is going to be cool. If not, next 30 days, which makes half of April. So whether the month of March or April, whichever it is, if it's doing a 50 to 100% move, you don't want to miss that because there would be certain coins which would run up 10x. Now, obviously, it won't be the large cap coin. Most likely, it's going to be a small cap turning into the medium cap. We have seen those moves recently in the market. Now you go look at Ether. On a short-term narrative, when we were here, I told you, watch, the RSI is already here, we should bounce. We bounced. We came close to that $4,000 mark. Now, that's still a short-term move. The moment you step back on a macro chart, you slowly step back and you ask the question like, are we at a level where we can anticipate a big bounce? Here, you don't. You have a lot of downside. What can that be? Maybe 3,500, maybe 3,200. That can still be the drop. But what you should ask yourself is what was the average drop in the cycle, which was still a healthy move in the market. That was like 20%. If you panicked and sold these assets back then, you really don't have an advantage in the market because the market can literally do a 20 to 25% drop and still continue on the same trend. So the macro trend remains the same. The only difference here is when you go on a weekly, you are now in that parabolic phase. During that parabolic phase, you will get volatility. At some point, you'll actually see the price doing a 30% drop. When you're starting that one out, you see another 30% drop. While you're in that run up, you still see a 25% drop. Nothing is stopping that going up. It's just pulling a lot of individuals' weak hands to the outside and using that supply by the strong hands. They buy and they hold on till the top. They ride it. So it's kind of a replacement of the supply. It's moving out for sure. Someone who bought at 800 or 1,000 who thinks they are in a decent profit is selling. Now, if you bought here at 200, if that's your average, okay, fine, sell it. That's 20x which you are making. Fine. If you're selling some portion of it, great. If you're here in this cycle, in this market cycle, try to take a longer horizon. At least on the market cycle perspective, that should be the helpful part. Now you go on, you can look at like, the XRP to Ether, the XRP to Bitcoin, whichever side you want to actually take, you can. What you do have to keep in mind is that you should look at it on a macro, a monthly. That's where you look at it and say like, okay, we talked about this last time, saying like either XRP has to drop or Bitcoin has to run crazy. We saw that. Like last month, we discussed about this. Now we are at that area of what next. So this is 2021, this is 2017, this is 2014. So historically speaking, each and every time when you reach these range, there's something happening in the price action. So I don't want to miss that. There in that asset, I've already doubled down. I'm riding it till the levels where I feel comfortable. One, in the price and the volume. I'll be monitoring all of those for all of the assets which we have, because one of the primary thing I always say is like, you need to keep in mind that you have emotions. When the price runs up, people are euphoric. When it drops, they are crazy. But when it goes up, if you can clear your mind and say, okay, there should be a drop coming. You are watching all the signs. Take some, or if you don't have any dry powder, that's the key point. If you don't have any available cash or the dry powder to buy in mode, you need to skim your profits. Now, when you're up like 17, 20x in a few months, you want to do that because that's the market's money which you have. You want to reallocate that back into the market to capitalize on this. Yeah, for sure, you won't be able to get the absolute top or the absolute bottom. But still, if you manage to be somewhere in between, you make money. And that's why you are here. That's why we are all in this market. Use that for your advantage. And guys, if you haven't smashed that like button yet, please consider doing that. And if you want to join SI family to get all of these calls at the right time to make the right decision, then follow the Scientific Investor family using this link in the description below in YouTube or in the bio on Twitter. I'll meet you guys on the next video. Bye for now.